to the podcast. Welcome to the podcast. HLIC and Herson TV. Yeah, welcome to the podcast. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the official podcast.
So, Herschel, we're back for part two, or our second podcast anyway. What do you have on your mind today?
You know, this bounty scandal is getting deeper and deeper, man. Greg Williams, now they have audio on this guy saying he's going to bust Michael Crabtree's knee and go after. It was horrible, man. We need to get some audio on that, Corey.
We don't fucking apologize for how we're going to play. You're here for a reason.
Kill the head, the body will die. We've got to do everything in the world to make sure we kill Frank Gore's head. We want him running sideways. We want his head sideways. Little 32, we want to knock the fuck out of him.
So lay that motherfucker out. We're going to dominate the line of scrimmage, and we're going to kill the fucking head. Every single one of you, before you get off the pile, affect the head. We need to decide whether Crabtree wants to be a fake-ass prima donna or he wants to be a tough guy. We need to find that out. When he becomes human, you fucking take out that outside ACL. We need to decide on how many times we can beat Frank Gore's head. We need to decide how many times we can bull rush and we can fucking put Vernon Davis's ankles over the pile.
I mean, what do you think about this, man? I mean, Sean Payton is done. Greg Williams is done. I mean, what do you think about this whole situation, man?
You know, back in the day, you and I have talked about it. Like back in the day, these guys, you know, they had insurance jobs on the side, and they weren't really making much money, and they were clotheslining people and playing with like plaster in their knee pad, or, you know, in their shins and their elbows and shit, and they were like clotheslining people. But man, now these guys are getting paid so much money, and there's a lot of money invested in them. And to me, I like seeing hard-hitting football. I like seeing clean football, but hard-hitting football. But, you know, trying to take someone's ACL out and permanently injure him, I think that's criminal shit. Like, I really think the dude might end up doing some jail time. I don't think it's just going to be a civil thing. I think that could end up turning criminal.
Oh, yeah. That's why these players are getting lawyers. The thing is, the NFL is trying to save their asses. They don't want to, you know, down the line have lawsuits. Roger Goodell's doing a really good job of handling this stuff. You got, you know, a lot of players coming out. Bernard Pollard, the same guy that injured Tom Brady and stuff like that. These guys are coming out and they're like, oh, you know, this is messed up, man. You might as well just put flags on it. No, man. Don't put no flags. People are getting hurt or they're putting bounties down on different players, and that's not right. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, you have a good chance of being injured just in the natural flow of the game anyway, just on clean hits. So when you're trying to injure a dude's career, I mean, you're taking these guys don't end up as much money as they make, you know, between their agent and taxes, and an average career is only 3 years. You're trying to shorten a man's career, and a lot of these guys don't have anything to fall back on. You know what I mean? Their whole life has been, from the time they're 5, has been athletics and football or whatever, and you're trying to take their career away from them. I don't think. I mean, I think I don't really like Goodell personally that much for some stuff he's done in the past, but I think he's handling this situation really well. But I think Greg Williams should have a lifetime ban, man. I don't think there's any room in the game. I haven't listened to it yet, but I did see that Michael Irvin and some other guys have been commenting on it, saying similar things, like, you know, they think he should be out for life. Do you think he should be out for life, or like a 2-year suspension, or what do you think? Yeah, I think to ban him for life, no. I think ban him from the NFL, but don't ban him from college, because if you ban him from the NFL, he'll get another job somewhere. He's a really good defensive coordinator. I mean, he blitzes like crazy. I think Peyton, I think they should 6 games. And the owner, they should shorten his suspension to 6 games. Yes, Sean Payton was aware of it and all that, but come on, he's an offensive guy. You know, Greg Williams, he handles the defense, and I think guys like Jonathan Vilma and some of these other guys, Scott Fugia, they should be disciplined as well. One thing I do want to talk about is Warren Sapp calling people. This is not a situation where there's a snitch involved. This is a situation where guys are trying to hurt guys for money. And Warren Sapp, I know he's a defensive player. He's always angry and mad and all that. What if an offensive player blow your leg out.
Well, yeah. And
what do you think about Warren Sapp then?
Well, Warren Sapp, I think he was a great player, but I also remember vividly watching a game against Green Bay when he took the biggest cheap shot on, I can't even remember the guy's name, Chad Clifton. He was
Chad Clifton,
he was an offensive lineman. I think there was an interception. Dude, this was like 50 yards away from the play, and he wrecked that guy out of like just a blindside hit. Technically, it was legal, but it was still a cheap shot bullshit. It injured his hip, and he was out for a year. And I think, like you said, it's not, look, I'm not a fan of snitching either. Like, I think, but dude, look, it's not, to me, that's not snitching when you're talking about people permanently trying to end your career. That's not snitching. That's like shedding some light on some shit that some light should be shed on.
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't agree with Warren Sapp there. And to paint Shockey in a light as a snitch, dude, that's one thing. Not just in the street, but in the NFL, you don't want to be painted as a snitch. And when you paint someone as a snitch, you better have solid evidence that he was the one that was giving that information up. And I don't think Warren Sapp had any information.
No, well, Warren Sapp, he's a decent analyst, but he just needs to be happy that with the NFL Network and keep doing his job and don't try to stir stuff up because it's already getting bad. It's getting worse. Now this audio came out. You know what? Do you think they should pick up Bill Parcells? I don't think Bill Parcells deserves to be the coach there. Like, they should be punished. Why bring in Bill Parcells? What if they bring in Bill Parcells and they win the Super Bowl? I mean, come on.
I actually think that would be funny because I think that would make Sean Payton expendable if Bill Parcells could come out and win a championship with that team. But, I think the game – I'm not saying the game's passed Parcells by, but he's 70, 71 years old. He's kind of in ill health. I don't know if that'll be a good look. I think if they hired him as a consultant and hired some other coach, Sean Payton should kind of be leery about bringing Parcells in because, like I said, if Parcells comes in and wins a championship and Benson, the owner of the Saints, realizes that, Sean Payton and Greg Williams kind of a bad look, he may keep Parcells around for 2 or 3 more years. But let's move on real quick to this, Andrew Luck and Robert Griffin III. You heard that Robert Griffin III did not want to work out for the Colts, right?
Exactly, and you know what? I agree with him. It's like, what more does this guy have to prove? They saw him in college, they saw him in his pro day, they saw him at the NFL Combine. There's nothing else that Robert Griffin III has to prove. Either you pick Andrew Luck because, you got Jim Irsay, he's real irky-jerky, he's out there tweeting thousands of tweets a day, doing all that. Make up your mind, man. Do you want Andrew Luck or RG3? RG3 has pretty much made up his mind that he wants to go to Washington because that's a better fit unless he wants to go to Colts and get his head knocked off. And I still think that Andrew Luck is built better as far as culture-wise and everything for the Indianapolis Colts. He looks and sounds and walks and talks like Peyton Manning, and RG3 doesn't.
Right, and I think that, no one's going to be able to tell who the better pick was until 10 years down the road. You can compare career numbers and stuff like that. But, like you said, RG3 has nothing really to prove. And if I were RG3, besides the fact that I'd want to be the number one pick, the money's with the collective bargaining agreement. The money between the number one and the number 2 pick is there's no difference in the pay. But I would rather be the number 2 pick and end up in Washington. Me being a Colts fan, I'm not a big fan of their organization as far as Irsay and how they handle their business. And if I were RG3 and see how they handle the Peyton Manning thing, I really wouldn't feel like there's much loyalty there. Whereas, in Washington, Dan Snyder's kind of, he just throws money at things, but he's obviously got some commitment to Mike Shanahan and Kyle Shanahan. And I think Shanahan's going to be around there for 5 to 8 more years. And I think that...
I don't know about that. I think, sorry to interrupt you, but I think if they don't win or at least be competitive as they were last year, Shanahan might be out.
Well, I agree, but that's why I think RG3 is a better fit because I think RG3 in that system has a better chance of keeping Mike Shanahan's job there than whereas Andrew Luck. I just like you said, I think the systems are set up to where, I think Andrew Luck can be a great quarterback in 3 or 4 years if they get an offensive line. But I think RG3 with that style of offense, they got Pierre Garçon and Josh Morgan in there and they're probably going to draft a running back or something. I don't know. I just think that they're better off. and back to the original point of the topic was, I just don't think RG3 has anything left to prove. If, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion they're going to pick Luck in Indianapolis. So why is he going to go waste his time there when he knows they're picking Luck anyway? He's already shown everything he's got to show. There's nothing.
Yeah, it was a hell of a. Both guys did a hell of a job. I don't know if you saw Jordan little one of the guys. Both guys are very intelligent. I think RG3 is more media savvy. I mean, you're going to see RG3 is going to get paid. So is Andrew Luck. They're going to get endorsements. Both guys are smart, got good head on their shoulders. It's going to be interesting to see in next 5 years who we're going to talk about as far as the best quarterback out of those two guys.
Right, yeah, and maybe it's one of those things where it's like a John Elway, Dan Marino type thing. I mean, hopefully, they both seem like good kids and they got a good head on their shoulder, and I hope they both have a good long career. But like you said, I mean, 5 years down the road, we'll know who got the better end of the deal on that deal. But I still think, to be real honest, I kind of think both of the organizations suck as far as, I mean, Dan Snyder, look what he did with Jason Campbell. I mean, 4 offensive coordinators in 4 years, never really gave him the time. And I'm not saying Jason Campbell is the same talent level as RG3, but when you don't give a guy an opportunity to gel with the offensive coordinator, I hope Andrew Luck and RG3 get an opportunity to stick with the same coordinator, with the same group of guys, and build their career. But speaking of careers, keeping it on the college theme, what do you think about the national championship, the men's basketball national championship?
I think the best team won. I think Kentucky, across the board, they got NBA bodies all across that team. The best player won the John Wooden Award, and rightfully so. Our bracket was messed up. Because basketball is a little watered down, but people have to understand that there's a lot of good athletes that can't stay in college basketball for 3 or 4 years because they're just too good. You got guys like Derrick Rose who went for 1 year, Carmelo Anthony that went for 1 year. I mean, Corey, what do you think about this whole one and done thing or straight out of high school thing? What do you think about that? You think college basketball is watered down because of it?
I think it's watered down, but I think it should be because, look, these guys are bringing in multi-millions into their college in revenue, and they're getting paid nothing. And I know people say, well, they get paid, they're getting a free college education. Well, it's not really free when you're, if a college education costs 20 or 30 grand a year, let's say, and you're one and done, okay, you got 30 grand worth of value as far as your education. But if you can go number one after playing 1 year, you probably brought in 10 to 20 million into that university. So really, why are you going to forfeit making that money in the NBA to just give it away to these college guys who, I mean, look, these guys are predominantly, these rich older white guys that just in the alumni and shit, and then they're getting all this money, and then the kids are getting an education. Well, you can always come back and get an education, but you're not always going to go back and get that $5 million, $10 million bucks a year in the NBA. So I really don't. It's a fair game all across the board. Any college can get into it. If you have a good recruiter, I don't have a problem with the one and done. But it does make college basketball a little watered down, but it makes the NBA more entertaining.
And the thing is, I mean, a lot of these guys, their major is not psychology. Their major is basketball. They went to Kentucky for basketball. They went to Syracuse for basketball. A lot of these guys have NBA dreams. A lot of them come from bad areas of the country, and they eat, sleep, and dream basketball. And the only way they can support their family financially is basketball. You look at the Fab Five. That is probably one of the best teams ever put together. Inner city kids. Look at them. Look at how fantastic they were. Look at how they made basketball better. You don't have a lot of racist, people and stuff like that. But they couldn't stay in basketball for 4 years. Look at how good they were. They were better than every other team. They were better than the Duke team that won the national championship team that had like 4-year stars like Bob Hurley and Grant Hill and Christian Laettner. So, you're right, Corey. Like, these guys, they got to go because they're that talented.
Right, and what they're sacrificing, if they would have stayed in college 3 more years, that means their NBA career would have been 3 years shorter. So they would have forfeited $15 million bucks. So ask somebody that is a psychology major if they can quit college after 1 year and go work for some psychology firm and make $15 million bucks. Are they not going to go? No, they're going to go.
Perfect. Another thing, Corey, You got tennis players, but baseball. You got all these guys that they don't have to go to college. They go straight from high school to the pros. I mean, look at all these other tennis. What I just say? There's a whole bunch of different sports. I mean, it's common sense. Why is basketball the only sport to where you have to go to school at least 1 year when these other sports are not allowing that? I mean, boxing, you could pretty much be a pro at 17.
Right. I think a lot of it has to do with, NBA teams, if they're going to keep a basketball player around for a while, I do think that the college players get some guidance from the college coaches and they learn how to deal with it on a different level. There are some players, I can't name them off the bat, but that did just go to 1 year or just went straight to the pros, like Kobe Bryant or something, that they just didn't, their career, after 1 or 2 years, they were out of the league. They didn't know how to spend their money. They had women problems. So I think, who did you just say?
I said, they're journeymen like Sebastian Telfair.
Right. So there could be a case made that had that guy spent 2 years in college with a good college coach and got some guidance that he may still be, a pillar in the NBA. But, look at Kevin Garnett. I mean, how would you argue that he would have been better off in college?
Yeah.
Playing for
Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant said he would have went to Duke. I can't picture Kobe Bryant in a Duke uniform. I mean, I don't think Kobe Bryant fits in a Duke uniform or that whole, Duke thing. He's not Duke. I mean, Chris Webber and Jalen Rose said it perfect. Duke players were Uncle Tom. Kobe Bryant he just doesn't look like a Duke player. You know what I mean? He just doesn't look like a Duke player.
No, but see, and there's not many Kobe Bryants or Kevin Garnetts as far as talent goes. So, I think Kevin Durant is better off for playing at Texas, right? But, a lot of these guys think they're Kevin Durant. They think they're Kevin Garnett. They think they're Kobe Bryant. They're not. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think they think, I'm going to just go pro. And that's why you have guys like Sebastian Telfair floating around the league. But the thing is, they didn't come from the grounded. Kevin Durant, I'm sure, I don't know this for a fact, but I know that, Kevin Garnett and Kobe Bryant had good relationships with their parents, had some guidance. Kobe was playing soccer in Italy, and his dad played some ball. So you kind of have the guidance there, whereas some of these guys think they have the talent level of Kevin Garnett and Kobe Bryant, and they just don't,
Man, they hit a brick wall. As soon as they get to the league, they hit a brick wall. And it's sad because they could be dominating college, So it's kind of a wishy-washy thing. It's yin and yang. It's you do or you don't.
Yeah, it's a catch-22, definitely. What do you think now? Speaking of the NBA, what do you think about some of the moves that are going on there? What do you think? Who do you think is going to pull? Do you think Miami will pull it off this year? Or what do you think's going on with that?
I watched the Miami Heat and the Oklahoma City Thunder game, and that was pretty much like a NBA Finals preview. But I said, pump your brakes. Chicago Bulls have the best defense in the NBA by far, and they have won a lot of games without their best player, which is Derrick Rose. You got Joe Noah anchor in the back of that defense. And you got the Boston Celtics. They're an old team, but you got Rondo running the point, and you got KG playing the 5-man, and he's actually doing a pretty good job. I think the Miami Heat, they still got a chance, but they have to get their half-court offense going because they're a running gun team. They're going to turn over, and you'll see LeBron or Dwayne Wade throwing alleys. In the playoffs, all that stuff stops because they'll foul you. And in the West, it's wide open. A lot of people saying Oklahoma City is the best team, but pump your brakes. San Antonio Spurs picked up a couple of key guys, Steven Jackson and Patty Mills. A lot of guys don't know about him. He was on the Australian national team. Watch out for the San Antonio Spurs. And the Lakers got the Twin Towers, and they got Kobe Bryant who can close anything. He can close the deal on the car if he wanted to. That's how good Kobe Bryant is. So there's about 6 or 7 teams that I think legitimately has a chance to win the NBA championship this year.
Absolutely. Hey, real quick before we go, we got a couple minutes left. There's a big fight coming up next month with Cotto and Mayweather. What do you think is going to happen there?
I think it's going to be a long fight, and I think eventually my man Mayweather is going to come out because strategically he is the best at what he does. I think Cotto is going to have the Latin community behind Cinco de Mayo, and people don't like Mayweather. I think Mayweather's going to win. I'm going to say in 8 rounds.
I would 100% agree with you. If he doesn't end it sooner, it'll be 8 or 9 rounds. But I just think that Cotto may hang with him for 2 or 3 rounds. But in the end, I mean, nobody. As much as I don't like Mayweather personally, but I think that's all an act. Just he's playing the villain role because playing the nice guy didn't work out earlier in his career.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's just for payday. But there's nobody better as far as talent level, mechanics than Floyd Mayweather. So I think you're right, man. I think Mayweather's going to take it in 8 or 9. But anyway, guys, that's all we got for this podcast. But we'll be back in a couple days with another one.
Yeah, make sure you guys email me, man. BigHerschel4_1 @yahoo.com. If you have any questions, we'll put you guys on the air. Whatever it takes to get on, holler at us, man. Sports TV, Corey C.
Yep. All right, man. We'll catch y'all next time.